Hey guys, welcome back to Call Me After Coffee. My name's Bree, and we're going to be doing a book talk on the Illuminae files. I will be talking about all three books as a whole in this video, so if you haven't read the whole trilogy, then you may not want to watch this until you have, because there's going to be hella spoilers everywhere. Essentially, like usually I do a non-spoiler part in the beginning, but because I am doing all three books, the best I can sum this up is like a YA, sci-fi, space drama, war kind of thing happening. I don't really even know how to explain it without spoiling it for people, but that's essentially what it is. I've yet to hear anybody say anything bad about the Illuminae files, and honestly, I'm a little bit surprised having read it because it just, again, maybe it was like a case of the hype monster, but also I think there's just some things in here and some tropes in here that I just don't like. And one of them, I had like heard people say they didn't like this trope before, but I didn't quite feel why, and now I totally get it. So I'm just gonna get right into the spoilers now. So if you haven't read the trilogy, then you should probably click out of this, and if you don't care, keep on watching. So essentially, we start out with Illuminae, and I have to say the first book, I did actually have a good time. I did have fun. It was new. The format is super interesting. Like it's neat. It's written like a case file. It got me on board. I enjoyed going through this. I liked Katie, even though she was kind of angsty and dramatic. I liked Ezra. I liked them together. I did enjoy the first book. The first book kind of set the bar in a pretty good spot. For me anyway. But nearing the end of this book, there is a time where it alludes to both Katie and Ezra dying, but I had a hard time believing that they were going to kill Katie right away, so I kind of figured she probably just fell asleep. Ezra, they flat out tell you that he's dead. And so yeah, I was pretty sad about that. I didn't want him to die. I wanted them to get to be together. And lo and behold, he is not really dead. Okay, fine. I get it. Okay. That's fine. I can handle it one time. But then in this book, they kill pretty much everybody, but nobody actually dies. Does that make sense? They make it out like everyone dies, but nobody actually dies. Nobody of importance. None of the main characters. And then, by the time we get to Obsidio, every single time they alluded to someone's death, I was calling it like, no way, that didn't really happen because they didn't kill them in the first two books, so why would they kill them in the third book? And they didn't. Every single person survives all the way to the end of the books. And it just, like, so by the time I got to this one, was I fearing for anyone's safety? 100% no. I never felt sad. I never felt bad for anything. Also, book 2, I would say, is the worst of the 3. I really didn't enjoy this one. I at first gave it a 3 because I liked it way less than Illuminae, and I don't often, sorry, my voice is just like total crap today. I don't often go back on Goodreads and change my ratings, at least not unless I've reread a book, and then I might update it to what I think it should be. Cough, cough, Game of Thrones book 2. Anyway, this book I did originally give a 3, and then the more I talked about it, I was talking with Murphy about it, and she wanted me to spoiler for it, so I did. So the more I talked about the trilogy, the less enjoyment I got out of it, and the more things I noticed bothered me about it, and the less I ever want to pick it up and read it ever again. But book 2, I think, was by far the worst. So book 1, we get Katie and Ezra. Okay, they're cute, they're teenagers. Yes, I could get on board with this one. But at the end of this book, or partway through this book, someone starts referring to Katie as Space Princess. So, okay, fine, nickname, fine. Then we get this frickin' book, and like the first page, someone calls, or Nick calls Hannah Princess. And I'm like, again? Really? New characters, same nickname? Like, you couldn't have found something different? Because, and maybe it had something to do with going from one straight into the next, I don't know. But that kind of like, not that it's a big deal, but it definitely made me go, well, why can't they get a little bit more unique with their nicknames instead of just a princess? And then, so we had Princess, Your Highness, yada, yada, yada. But then partway through, and I can't remember if it happens in this one or this one, but you've got Katie and I think Ezra calls her princess again, but then Nick is calling Hannah your highness and princess. And it's like, do you really need to use the same nickname for two different characters that are supposed to be two different people? Okay, and then getting back into Gemina, I know I'm kind of all over, and that's why I want to do all three books, because they all kind of filter into one another. So in book one, you've got Ezra the jock, and you've got Katie, who is like amazing, super special computer programmer girl. Okay, fine. Computer geek, totally can buy that. That's totally passable. Okay, I got it. Book two, Hannah's the daughter of like the guy who runs all of Heimdall Station, and they obviously bond over, I can't even remember what kind of special martial arts stuff she does. But anyway, they bond over this. This is what they do in their spare time, which is totally fine. I'm not making fun of anyone. But she's got, you know, every recognition for whatever this special martial arts business is. So she's obviously a super tough fighter girl, but also she's a super pretty princess diva, but also knows all kinds of stuff about war strategy. So she's super dynamic in her personality and not a stereotype, except she perfectly fits like each stereotype, but like they've glommed them all together. And it's just like, okay, like she's a super fighter. She broke her drug dealer's arm. Cool. Okay. So I'm reading this and I just like, I could not get on board with them in this book. I didn't really like the characters so much. Anyway, Hannah almost single-handedly manages to take down every special agent at Heimdall Station. Every single one. She outsmarts them, she outfights them, she out-whatevers them, and wins. Okay? I get it. It's a YA. It's a little unbelievable. Okay. But still, what's the likelihood of a girl who's literally not armed, I mean, sometimes she has a gun, but she's not good at using it, to take down all of these people pretty much single-handedly? And then you've got the love triangle, which, was this really even a love triangle? Because from the beginning of the book, you knew she was gonna pick Nick. The banter between the two of them is like, ooh, we're so edgy and we are passive-aggressive and we flirt. But my boyfriend's super hot and I just wanna jump his bones all the time. And I don't remember how far through, but it wasn't like super close to the end that I figured out that her boyfriend guy was probably not a good guy, but like, it was a really weird love triangle. It seemed really forced. There wasn't really any chemistry between her and her actual boyfriend compared to what they wrote between her and her drug dealer. And then I didn't hate the books. I know I sound like I did. Like, they were obviously easy to read and they were okay and they were kind of fun-ish. But by book two and book three, the formatting really got tired for me. And also, I've said this to a couple people, but these books, there is so much profanity, but no profanity, really. So essentially, like, if you've read the books and you're here and you know this, they just bleep, 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 bleep. There's just black boxes everywhere. And so the entire time, my mind is trying to fill in the blanks like a game of Mad Libs, trying to figure out which swear works in this, because sometimes it's blank ES, sometimes it's blank ER, sometimes it's blankety blank 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 blank. It's just like, if you're gonna swear in a book, and I get it, it's for teenagers, but teenagers swear a lot of times, come on. They just do. So either put the frickin' profanity in there, or just don't. Or make up, like, they already called everyone femme and chum instead of ladies and gents or whatever, I don't know. They had a lot of slang. They could have either come up with slang, like, swear words to put in there, or just put in an F-bomb. Like, just, I got so tired of trying to fill in the blanks in every single book. It just was not my thing. And like book two, I'm ripping on the worst because I just didn't enjoy this book. Like, I felt like I was reading this just to get to the third one and I didn't really like it and I wasn't worried about the characters. And then it felt like kind of like they were just scraping the barrel for ideas with this one. Of course, Nick is a drug dealer and the bad guys come and they kill his whole family, but they happen to be hatching these crazy creatures in the basement that are going to make everyone super high and they're going to get all murdery, and there has to be something to take down some of the bad guys because Hannah can't do it all herself. And of course, these things like it just felt so forced that these alien things, I don't even know what they're called, these space creatures were even there. Like, it just seemed like such a plot convenience so that there would be a little bit more drama. And then, of course, Gemina gets explained near the very end of the book why it gets its name, because there's an alternate universe, and I get it, it's sci-fi, I get it, I'm not stupid, but just the way that it all came about, the entire reason for this book all happened in, like, the last, like, I don't know, this far. And again, it was okay, they had to fix the universe, whatever, but the space creatures just seemed like such a random part of the plot that they only had there for the sake of getting rid of some of the bad guys. Like, it just seemed so unnecessary, except Nick had to be a bad boy, so he had to be a drug dealer. Like, do you feel me? Ella was okay, but again, she was kind of just annoying. Like, she was like your basic 15-year-old, running her mouth, making fun of people, judging people. Like, it's fine. I didn't feel attached to any of these characters. And like I said, pretty much every single character dies at some point in this book, but they don't actually die, they come back. And that's why it felt like a plot convenience to have the alternate universe, because Hannah died in the alternate universe and Nick died in this universe, and somehow the Nicks got switched, and then they had to switch them back just so that Hannah didn't have to lose her boyfriend. Like, that is the issue. Not the fact that there was multiple universes. It was the fact that they did that just so they could bring back another character that they killed, like, over and over and over. And of course, in the alternate universe, Ella dies, but in our universe, it doesn't. But then the guy who Hannah was dating writes that note, and so it makes it look like he shot them all, but really he was a bad guy, but then he was really a good guy, and he saved the day. And, like, does it not sound kind of like it's so cheesy and so convenient, and everything was just such a clean ending? And then Obsidio, I'm gonna say I did like it better than Gemina, but again, everybody dies and nobody dies. And I'm not saying I want everybody to die, but if you're not gonna kill them, don't put them in that much danger, and don't say that they're dead. It's just like, I had zero emotion during reading this entire book, like no emotion. I felt detached from everybody. I didn't care. Every time someone died, I was just like, yeah, right, no, they didn't. I did like Asha and Reese. I thought that was I thought they were cute, but again, the relationship felt very much the same. Like, Katie and Ezra started out in an argument and they got together. Nick and Hannah started out disliking each other. Well, at least she disliked him. They got together. And then this book, you've got Asha and Reese, who got separated years before, and she hates him, and they get together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same story in each book, which got kind of tired. Also, this one, like, yeah, thousands of people die because the computer goes crazy, and we'll get to the computer Aiden guy in a second, but like, a little girl gets shot. Like, I'm pretty sure it says something about the fleece coming through the bullet hole, and it was like a through and through her chest. I get that sometimes people survive bullet wounds, but like, what little kid survives like a high power rifle shot through the chest in like -50-degree weather? And I just, like, it seemed so like you couldn't even let her die. Like, nobody died. And I saw that and I went, there's no way she's gonna survive that. Oh, nope, she's not dead. Which, like, I'm not murdery. I don't want everybody to die. I just want someone to stay dead so that I can feel bad the next time someone dies. Or at least feel something, because I literally felt nothing. I just felt cold and bored and like, yep, okay. And then everybody survived all the way to the end, and the bad guys got sent to jail or whatever, and they got to be a happy little posse in New Russia, or whatever the heck it's called. New Petersburg, is that what it's called? Oh yeah, before I was about to end this and then I remembered, I wanted to talk about Aiden. So I feel like a lot of people really love Aiden's character, and maybe it's just like the way that my brain works, but I could not personify him. Everything that it said sounded to me robotic, and maybe I was just reading it in my head very robotic, but literally at the end of this book, when he finally says that he loves Katie, or it loves Katie, I'm like, it's not capable of love. It's not capable of true emotion, and that's why it was capable of killing all those people, because it didn't feel emotion, because it doesn't have a conscience. And I just, like, I had the hardest time caring about it, because it just like, obviously it wanted to protect Katie and I knew that was where it was going, but when it actually said like it was for the best but he loves, or it loves Katie, it just seemed so cheesy to me and I just couldn't, especially because the thing seemed like it had zero real personality. It was just talking and narrating a lot. And then going back to book 2 one last time, one part that I really hated was while they were doing their alternate universe thing, there was multiple pages where it would show Hannah and Nick and they're doing everything at the same time, and I understand what they were trying to do, but it felt, and it pretty much was, it was like you were reading every page twice except for a couple of minor differences. So each page you're reading twice in a row, twice in a row, twice in a row, and like after, I don't know how many pages there were of that, 10? It was so, like, I was just skimming because I was like, I don't want to read the same thing from 2 different perspectives over and over and over and over in this part. So yeah, that's how I felt. So anyway, that is how I feel about the Illuminae files. It did not hit the mark for me, and I feel, like, I always feel bad trashing people's stuff, and I understand I am over, like, the age bracket that it's meant for, but I feel like even in high school, these things still probably would have bothered me a little bit. Maybe less, but if I'd been more attached to the characters, I might have not cared so much, but I couldn't get that attached, and I think part of that is because of the writing style. I feel like it was interesting, it was neat, but also it didn't really let you get really close to the characters either. Like, I didn't feel like I knew them super well, so again, I didn't care a lot about stuff. But anyway, those are my thoughts and feelings for the Illuminae files. Comment down below if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Am I the only one? What do you think of like the things that I found issue with? Because I'm not saying like I hated the thing as a whole. I feel like the trilogy is like maybe a 3 as like a whole, but there were just so many things that took me out of the story, so many plot conveniences, so many things that just like I didn't enjoy as a whole, that even though, and I think I rated it higher because I read them so quickly and they weren't hard to read, but like my enjoyment level wasn't what I kind of thought it was. Like the more I think about it, my enjoyment level just keeps like dropping, which is why maybe I sounded really salty during this video. Anyway, I'm gonna end this here. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below, and while you're down there, hit subscribe and don't forget the bell. I upload most Mondays and Thursdays, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you so much.